This Racing Life with Albasti Equiworld, the leading supplier of horse feeds and supplements.
Welcome to the latest edition of This Racing Life. One of the key pillars to racing and life here in Newmarket is community. And what strikes community more than a well-run pub? The Affleck Arms has been a staple to the people of Newmarket in recent years, and its charismatic owner, John Porter, is also a horse racing owner. We'll hear more from John later on in the programme, but first of all, we paid a visit to the newest member of the ever-expanding Kia Jarabchin Amo Racing team, Kevin Philippart de Foy. Kevin, we're in Newmarket here where you've trained for 5.5 seasons, but before then, what was your kind of background in the game, and I suppose what were the big trainers you worked for before getting to this position?
You will have cricket, it will be the first one, first one. Then I had a spell with John Oakes. Christophe Clement has been a big influence in my career. Someone who reminds you every day that you're there to win races, and it's extremely competitive. And James Fanshawe was the last one in Newmarket. So my training method will be very similar to James. You will see a lot of James in me when you walk into the yard, and I would say I learned plenty about the patience. Make sure the horse is right, and you can go through the grades very quickly. When you think the horse is at his peak, is probably what James told me the most.
And how important was it for you to get a flavour of French racing, Irish racing, and then obviously Newmarket itself, which is a different beast?
No, exactly. In Ireland, I think they train much harder than anywhere else in the world. America is completely different environment. It's different breed. Horses bred in a very different way. And obviously, you're always on the track with times and things like that. So that I felt I was very much out of my comfort zone early on in America, and I took a lot of time to get used to it. Newmarket, that's where I was setting up. So it was very important to spend a couple of years here and learn plenty about the gallops, plenty about the place, and finding someone that really suits me. And Christophe Clement was actually the one who found me a position with James Fanshawe, because he thought I would suit James very well.
And all those trainers probably known for the amount of time and kind of patience they can give their horses and have given their horses over time. Do you feel that has really precipitated down to you and the way you try to train?
Yes, definitely. And cricket was very good at giving time, but she was one that could go from a maiden to a Group 1 with a 2-year-old filly, or with Trev she went from a condition race to a classic. So actually, when the horses are at their big form, she's very happy to go through the grades very quickly. So as I said, it's just like all about patience. But after, when the horse is right, you just make sure you don't miss the opportunity.
Obviously, there's been plenty of news in the last few weeks that you're going to be moving in to be the resident trainer for Kia Jarabchin. How did that all come about? He had his first runner for you in 2022. I suppose, take us back to then. How did you first meet Kia, and how did that kind of association begin to come?
My vet has been working for Kia for like a couple of years now. He brought me the first horse in training, and after I met Kia at the sales, like a lot of other trainers, he likes chatting. He likes to support young people. Through the years, I had a couple of more horses. We had Mashadi last year, and after we had Manara, and a couple more that came through the yard. The decision was everything happened very quickly over the past 10 days. But yes, I'm a very good position.
What do you believe you're going to bring to this outfit that Kia Jarabchin would have pinpointed that you were the man for this job?
I've been involved with trainers that have trained very good horses. So. I'll be confident that we'll be able to make the right decisions. I've been working with the team, Amy Drummond, Charlie Sutton, Alex Elliott, to name a few that have been involved for the last couple of years with the operation. So I think my way of training will really fit the people we are working with and the type of horses we're bringing into the yard.
Yeah, we obviously see Kia all the time at sales, making big money purchases, but what's he like? What's he like to deal with? What's he like to work with?
I find him very straightforward to deal with. I think I took 2 years to train my first winner for Kia, and I was still training horses. So I think we've got a pretty negative image of Kia in the media, which I don't think he is. I think he got a lot better over the years, and he certainly is with his trainers now. Lots of occasions has been there for a couple of years. Plenty of trainers have been training for Kia for a couple of years now, and we will be pretty positive. He's a very good man. When things go well, obviously you've got more pressure going into big meetings, but that's kind of normal.
And you're inheriting some really good horses, obviously, in this move. The likes of Tuscan Hills comes to mind, obviously a runner in the Derby for the operation. But they do seem to be spending an awful lot of money on more of those backward 2-year-olds and potentially middle distance 3-year-olds.
Yes, exactly, and that's why the next couple of months will be crucial, because you've got them well-bred fillies and colts coming through. They'll be running in 7th furlong mile maidens over the next couple of months, and it's just building up their career. They won't have some of them might have targets coming up at the end of this year, but they are more next year targets. So I think that's why next year will be very important with the operation. I think that's you want to judge Amo Racing at the end of 2026.
And is that ability that you're potentially going to be afforded to take your time with these horses and maybe allow them that time to develop, whether that be physically or mentally, is going to really help both the horse and yourself as the trainer?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you don't want to give them forever, but which I'm sure Kia will remind me at one point. But yes, you want. Yes, I think I'm someone who would just give plenty of time for them to develop, and I think that's what the horses need.
And just looking at the types of horses that they are buying, do you want to become part of that process? You know, Alex Elliott's obviously had an enormous say in things, in the money spent. How much do you want to be a part of, I suppose, buying the horses that you're going to be training?
In the ideal world, I would like to be asked my opinion. I don't want to make the face. I don't want to be the one making the final decision, because I don't think that's my job in the operation. But I think a lot of people are involved in giving their opinion, and in the ideal world, I would like to be one of them.
Gay Kelleway has been a fixture in the Newmarket community for many years, achieving winners with cheap purchases alongside her success in the saddle. She spoke to Tom Bull about her life in racing.
I'd love to be a jockey now, I tell you. I really like being a jockey. Didn't like wasting, but I wouldn't have to waste now. I used to ride at 7 stone 9.
I mean, that's so
7'9" I used to ride at.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I know. And we had no allowances for the for body protectors.
Would be a lot easier for you now, wouldn't it? I mean, they've
God,
raised the weights.
Yeah. I'm a bit heavier now, of course, because as you get older. But I love riding.
You loved the buzz, didn't you?
I just loved everything about it, you know.
Yeah.
I just like the competition, because I love competition.
Yeah.
I was good at sport at school, and I just like winning. I have that real fire inside me, and I still have.
What was the feeling like when you rode your first winner?
I rode my first winner. We're going back now, before you were born probably. My first winner was at Ripon. I beat Mark Birch up north. Yeah, it was at Ripon. Ripon was a lucky track for me. I rode my first winner as a professional there. Oh, my first winner as an amateur. Oh yeah, it was I won the Ladies' Derby at Ripon for Clyde Britton. My dad thought I was useless. He did. He said, "You want to give up now?" And I was so determined that I went and rode out for Clyde Britton at 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Where do you think the drive first came from?
I've always had that instinct inside me that I want to do well, because I wasn't super clever at school, but I always wanted to do something different. Didn't think I was that different, but just get my tack. Just want to kill you. So I always wanted to, and like I said, I was good at tennis at school. Well, I thought I was good at tennis until I went and played with Annabelle Croft and Sam Smith at Wimbledon one day. I played on the clay courts at Wimbledon.
I didn't know they had any there.
Yeah, they got clay courts. That's where they put all the marquees
right.
on top. Yeah, it's great. I had Sunday lunch there. Elaine Page was there one day when I was having Sunday lunch.
Well, I guess if you're playing against Sam Smith and Annabelle Croft, you're going to find it pretty tough, because they are two of the best.
Useless. I embarrassed myself, actually. Yeah, no, they were good. That elite level, you know, is phenomenal in any sport. You know, when you reach that You know, we can all play at it, like runners, I suppose, athletes. Yeah. So you think you're good at something until you actually hit that level. So it's best to stick what you know best, riding horses.
So I guess apart from sort of the wasting side of things, your memories of riding are pretty happy.
I had a hard time. I was harassed, put down all the time by the jockey club. They didn't want me to ride. I was the only girl virtually riding when I first started. Kim came along a bit later, Kim Tinkler. She was riding for Nigel, and she was a good rider, thinking rider. I was worried about taking her on because I always knew she was sometimes better horses than me. And she rode a lot of winners.
Did you find back then that being a woman, a lot of people didn't expect you to be able to do it?
Oh my God, the times I used to go at the races and say, oh, there's a girl riding. Yeah, no, it was hard. I mean, I was harassed and I got brought down by a fella called, what's he called? I can't remember his name. A jockey at Nottingham. And he took me out and he got a ban. I mean, nowadays, you had the book thrown at him, what he did. I got brought down twice in a race, deliberately, by jockeys. They just didn't want me there. It was hard, I was wasting hard. It was depressing, sometimes really hard. And when you weren't getting the rides or getting the winners, it can bring you really down. Mentally, there was no mental health, there was no help, there was no gyms, there was nothing. We had nothing like that. They've got it all now, they're so lucky. Really lucky. I mean, thank God they have. I mean, how things have changed.
You had to be a pretty tough cookie by the sounds of it.
It was hard, and my father wasn't an easy man. He was a hard person. He was very hard on me. I felt like jumping out the car one day when I got beat on one at Sandown. And he gave me so much aggro.
Do you buy into that sort of old saying that kind of thing makes you stronger, or do you think it was just too much?
He was quite cruel.
Yeah.
He was a bit heavy-handed as well, he was tough on me. I remember, but I stood up for myself. Like, one day he says, right, I was riding this filly called My Imagination. I rode out every day. And I did all my work on it. I really worked hard. And he said, you can take that and lead it up. Paul Cook's riding it. And he said, Pat Edry's riding Risme, the good horse he had at Sandown, running the good 2-yard race. I said, you can stick your job up your you-know-where. I said, I'm not going. I said, if I don't ride that filly, I'm not going up there. I said to him, I would put my foot down.
Yeah.
So anyway, as it happened, Pat Edry had to go to Ireland to ride. And so Paul Cook went and rode Risme at Sandown. So I got the ride in My Imagination. I beat a horse called Wiggenthorpe of Mick Easterby's. Wiggenthorpe went on to win the Gimcrack. But I give this filly a good ride in a maiden. And it said in the paper, I never forget in the Sporting Life, the following Monday, it was on a Saturday, and it says, many reasons why Gay Kelleway is one of our very best apprentices. So, that, I got a few compliments that way.
I kind of think it's lovely to hear, isn't it? I imagine when you rode your winner at Royal Ascot, you
did my body protector, it's a new one. These are the new body protectors, impossible to do up, but very nice to wear.
Blimey.
There we go. Yeah, just because it's soft. They're good ones there.
I was going to say, I imagine when you rode that winner at Royal Ascot, the first female rider to ride a winner there, you must have shut a few people up.
I didn't really look at. Do you know what? I just think all my life I've had to prove. Even starting as a trainer, it was hard because there were many women trainers about. But all my life, because I never started with any money. I didn't have a mother and father that had money. My dad died penniless in the end. He had a good life, but he died penniless. But I was never left anything because everybody thought, I was left state. I was never left state. I've got an older brother. He works for Jack Jones, travelling head lad. But I was never left any. So everything I did was completely off my own back. And what I've achieved, I'm really happy with. I'm happy with what I've got. I've got a beautiful home, racing stable, horses that I love. I wake up every morning with horses, and it's a dream job for me. And so I have no regrets. A couple of things I wish I'd done a little bit differently, but you learn that through experience and age. But I think I had a really good horse called Sorby Tower, and I think he was that good he could have won the Irish Guineas. I think Aidan O'Brien just started training then, so he didn't have a big string. So winning in Ireland was a little bit easier than it is now. And the horse, I listened to the jockey that told me I should run in this and run in that and run in this. And the jockey was only looking to back the horse, and the horse won 5 straight races, strictly because You know, he was so good. He's winning 5 lengths. Even Gary Moore said to me, he said, "You've got an aeroplane there." I said, "No." And of course, Richard Hughes got the ride on him. He was a young jockey, just started out with Hannon, Richard Hughes, and he got the ride on Sorby in the St James's Palace, 33-1 outsider, and he finished 3rd to 2 Guineas winners, Ashglani and Bijan Dan. Super horse, and he was favourite for the Sussex. But because I'd raced him so early and used a lot of him, that's inexperience on my behalf, he was over the top by the time he got to the Sussex. He was 4th.
Yeah.
And he was an exceptional horse. I paid $13,000 for him at the sales. But he was an exceptional racehorse. He was the best I ever. Getting on him was like getting on an aeroplane.
Yeah.
I remember I rode out for Harry Thompson-Jones when I gave up riding as a jockey. And I rode a filly called Flower Girl for Gredley. And that was a machine. And I rode the likes of... I never sat on Madam Gay that won a classic because I was too young then. I just started out as an amateur. I sat on Risk Me. He was like a bit of an aeroplane. But Sorby Tail, probably the best horse I would have ever trained in my life, ability-wise. Because getting on a good horse is so different to the average horses. I mean, it's like getting in a Ferrari compared to a Mini.
Yeah.
Trust me, just the feel you get, you just know straight away you've got a good horse, you know what I mean?
I can tell as well that you've been training for quite some time now, but the fact that you have exciting 2-year-olds to go to war with still gives you that excitement.
Oh, God, I love it. That's my favourite thing. You're buying a dream. Because no way we're going to get older horses anymore. Those days are gone when I had the likes of Anzio, second-hand horse, winning one of the Group 3 races. Bought him out of a cellar for 5,000 and he went on to win a couple of listed big handicaps, a Group 3 in Ireland. Those days are gone. There's too many eyes out there, you know, with the social media. Lots of agents, like the agents probably trebled in size. The agents come along so they don't miss a trick. They don't miss anything. And everything's so transparent now. You know, everything's on TV. You can't miss a horse running out the back door and going to the sales. You kind of catch it. Well, there's the odd one. I got Manton Row for £1,000. So, but yeah, so you have to be really on it to pick them. So you have to go down the yearling route because anybody can buy a well-bred horse. It looks the part. That's easy. It's the ones that miss, like probably hasn't got a great pedigree, a great page. But I don't look at the pages. I look at the horses walking around. I might look through the catalogue and there's certain sires that every trainer's the same, you like, that you've been lucky with. So obviously Galileo Gold's been particularly lucky for me. So I've looked at all the Galileo Golds. I like Inns of Court horses. I look at them and possibly the ones that would be totally out of my price range would be Havana Greys, but I still love them because the majority of them are grey and I love a grey. Love showcasings. But I try to vary up a bit and try and pick new sires because young sires, new sires are always quite exciting. You know, you might get a sire like I've got a Starman filly here, owned by some American clients of mine. They picked her at Goffs, and she looks quite exciting, but she's not going to be like precocious enough to be, you know, 2-year-old, maybe a back-end 2-year-old, nice 3-year-old.
And when you first became a trainer, given the fact you'd had success as a jockey, did you find it quite easy to get the owner support straight away, or did it take a while?
I just phoned up.
Yeah.
They only could say no. I phoned...
There's the sales experience.
Yeah, I said to David Sullivan from Rodeville, he owns part of West Ham. He went out of racing because he didn't think he was treated very well. A good owner. And I said, David, I rode him a few wins. I said, David, I want to start training, but the jockey club won't... It was a jockey club at the time. I said, they won't give me a licence list. I said, I've got 80,000 in my bank account. I haven't got 800 quid. He said, don't worry, Gay, I'll write you a letter. And he wrote me a letter to the jockey club and said, I will back Gay and, you know, any outstanding debts. And he did it.
What a great support.
Yeah, no, without David, I would never have got going. So, and he said, oh, Gay, just go to the... I send his agent to the sales and just get you a couple of horses to get you going.
We obviously just had the big meeting. Whenever it comes around, do you like to reminisce about your famous victory becoming the first female rider? No, you don't.
I used to say to Hayley Turner, so for God's sake, Hayley, can you ride a win at Royal Ascot? They'd be wheeling me in. Every year, they were doing interviews at Ascot in the paddock with me. Oh, you're the first woman to ride, the only woman to ride a win at Royal Ascot. I thought, please God, it's soon. And it came like buses, didn't they? There was Hayley, there was Holly, and it was great. The girls were really doing well, but unfortunately, we flat on their face this year. I was hoping Safi was the closest, because he's in close to a winner. So I just hope we still have the girls rising through the ranks, and there's a lot more girls riding. But I just hope it doesn't dip like it did in the 90s. The 90s, there was nothing. There was no girls really riding. There was a few riding, but they weren't going to Ascot.
I was going to ask you, do you think you were a bit of a trendsetter? But if it did dial for the 90s a bit, then possibly not.
They just said it was they said, oh, Julian Wilson, he said, oh, it's a bit of a fluke, you know. Will you be riding next year? I shortly retired after that because I couldn't see a future in riding horse, and I was wasting so hard, dieting so hard. We didn't have any mental awareness, and I literally got to the stage where I was like self-harming myself because I was so depressed about everything, you know. And we read about all that in my book next year.
How did you sort of get yourself out of that slump then?
Because it's always me. I didn't really have a family you could go to and talk to about it. Because my mother said, Gay's killing herself from wasting. He said, oh, it's part of the job. Models do it, ballet dancers do it. It's just part of the job having to waste.
Alongside owning the Affleck Arms, John Porter has a storied history in both horse racing and greyhound racing. A successful punter, a successful tipster, a dog owner, a horse owner, he has simply done it all. So we've thought no better than to go to the July Festival at Newmarket to see Crest of Distinction run, a horse that John owns alongside the Crest Racing Syndicate and Jack Shannon. Looking at horse racing then, when did the start of your enjoyment of the game come, and I suppose what was the triggers to really get you hooked on the game?
I think just enjoying the sport initially, being brought here from a young age, being brought to various sporting arenas with dog tracks, horse racing tracks. Always attracted to the animal as itself. Pretty much why everybody else gets involved. But I think a bit of betting. Everyone has an interest in that. So there's definitely loads and loads and loads of reasons why I got involved.
Yeah. And you're big into your greyhound racing as well, which has been an industry under the microscope in recent years. What changes have you seen to that industry over the last 15, 20 years?
I think probably the most upsetting changes is the loss of tracks. Second dog I owned won the Arc at Walthamstow in 2008, and you just can't forget nights like that, very shortly after it shut down in 2009. And, that's like a track that used to serve the whole of London, a fantastic vista and showcase for the sport, and we had to cope with that being taken away. So I think that's probably the biggest change that I've seen. And I think the loss of Sky Sports racing, Sky Sports covering the greyhound racing, that was a massive loss. That was a real attraction for people to own dogs and to get involved, was the fact that they could watch it on a bit like we've seen the different darts and what's been done to that with the Sky coverage and things. Exactly the same for us. We lost that, and we lost an awful lot with it.
And with greyhound and horse racing, it does come slightly hand in hand with the betting side of things, and I'm sure that's something that over the years you have been very, very interested in. I suppose, is there any major stories of how you got into maybe the punting side of things?
I mean, to be honest, without spilling beans, I probably punted a seven-figure sum for 20 odd years. It's more than an interest, shall we say. But like I say, again, without sounding like, it was good back in the old days, I do think them days have just gone.
And with that in mind, you have gotten involved in horse racing, but you got involved in horse racing ownership through greyhound ownership, is that correct?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. It was basic. I mean, I've had horses for years and years, but certainly the association with Jack come through. We bought a dog together, very, very fortunate, won a Group 1 race, won the Puppy Derby, got the likes of Charlie Johnson involved as well. So kind of in my mind, I'm always trying to cross over between the sports, because obviously we are the poor cousin of horse racing, and it's lovely when you've got people of their stature that might be involved, might get a mention on TV. That I don't think people realise what these young trainers do. They literally put themselves in hot to Tattersalls for anything from £750,000 to £1 million, and they are constantly under pressure to sell the horses, to move them on, to do things to get them. And it's a really hard industry for anybody starting up, and I'm sure any young trainer will experience that. So basically, before the sales, I said, "Look, Jack, we'll do our best." I got involved. I got Clive Dickman involved from Crest Racing. And basically we syndicated the horse and tried to fill it as soon as we could. I said to Jack that I'll take a leg, just trying to support him, like similarly with Crest of Fire, just to try and get it over and get it. But you know, it takes time, it's not easy.
Met John through owning a dog together. So a good friend of mine, David Croft, sold me a share in a dog that John Porter owned, and the rest is history. It was a really good dog called Dearlish Frankie, who won the Puppy Derby at Monmore and got us to the semi-final of the main derby. So look, it was we had a bit of luck to start with, and we've had plenty of dogs since. And look, you know, I trusted John to sort of source us some nice dogs, because it was a good bit of fun. You know, me and my partner Alana, you know, we used to go to the dogs at Monmore and watch Dearlish Frankie and watch Dearlish Nora, a couple of the dogs that we had together. And I think that's probably then passed on to John with the horses. He trusts me to pick the right horses and train them right. So it's actually a very healthy relationship, in that, you know, we just let each other get on with each side of things, really.
Obviously Jack was starting up on his own at that time. I was always frustrated that he didn't get the support that he's got. I personally call him Dick Hearn II, because I rate him that highly. And I'm absolutely amazed that he hasn't got support from any major organisations as of yet. You know, I believe Highclere are sending him some potentially, but you know, for a guy, I don't know if he's struggled because of his dad's reputation, but for my money, I think Mick was better at football and Jack's better at training horses.
Yeah, and it must give you therefore an immense amount of pleasure to be able, even in a small way, to contribute to a couple of horses that are with him and are now being successful.
Exactly. But I think, like always, you have to keep it in your mind that I'm not Chiefly Park. I'm not, you know, I'm not Sheikh Mohammed. It's a big boys' game, and I'm a pub landlord in the nicest possible way. So we've been very lucky, but the chances of us continuing to be that lucky, you know, we're probably pushing it a little bit.
It must be nice on a winning day to come to a pub like this, such a local community around, and to kind of enjoy each other's success.
100%. You know, obviously I'm not based here, but whenever I'm up here I always come and see John, and I think I'd have been told off if I hadn't come and seen him after racing today. But look, it's a cracking pub in one of the most beautiful villages in the area. So you know, I think everyone knows JP, and they enjoy coming here for a well-earned pint after that long day.
Rewind it back, you own a pub now in Newmarket and have done so for a number of years, the Affleck pub, which I'm sure plenty of people watching will know fully about. How did that all come about, and I suppose how did you get into owning a pub around Newmarket?
Well, I think you can trace it back as many years as you like, really. You know, my mum worked for Joe Correll back in the day, in the very, very initial stages in London, right when there was literally just Joe Correll, Benny Stone. There was nobody else running it. They're probably taking bigger bets then than what they are now. But it started from that, being taken dog racing, horse racing from a young age, just a constant fascination with the sport. And then I was working in the city, like a lot of people. You do that for 8, 9, 10 years. You want a different life. Beautiful pub come up for sale, and that was it. That's changed life. Let's do something different.
And especially these days, I suppose, like commercialising of pubs is all around the place. I assume with your own pub, it's kind of a case of trying to keep some of those traditions from years gone by.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah. I think that's possibly something that's kind of disappeared from the trade. You know, if you wind it back 25 years, the pub landlord was an identifiable character within the community. Perhaps like you would have a policeman or your postman, and I think that's gradually being eroded in all areas of life. It's becoming more and more anonymous. So yeah, definitely just to keep it going as a decent pub, somewhere where a watering hole, people can come, need anything, feel safe, meet the plumber, meet somebody else, need anything. That's just kind of how we run it.
Well, $3.50 a pint for somebody living in London at the moment would bowl people over, but I suppose that's a little bit what I mean about trying to instill some of those maybe old school values.
I think as well, it's like anything, you can go for turnover and take a little bit of each slice, or you can charge £7 a pint and be empty.
That concludes this week's edition of This Racing Life. A fantastic week here in Newmarket, and I can thoroughly vouch for a great time had here at the Affleck Arms. A firm recommendation for any racing fan. Until next week, we'll see you again soon.
This Racing Life with Albasti Equiworld, the leading supplier of horse feeds and supplements.